Hello everyone, Rattle here. Today I have a very special guest here with me who was willing to sit down and have a chat about her awesome upcoming game.
Hi, my name is Maia. I'm a horse rider and a game developer, and currently I'm developing this game called Tales of Rein Ravine, which maybe some of you have heard about or maybe even tried the demo that's out for free, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for being here today. For those of you who don't know, Tales of Rein Ravine is a little horse game that is made by one person, and its main draw is the fact that it's kind of being aimed at an older audience, and that it has some really realistic writing that we're going to be diving into today. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into it. We can start with just telling us a little bit about yourself, because I think everyone is kind of curious about you. You know, I'm guessing you've probably ridden horses, and you know you're making a horse game, so we're all kind of excited. You know, tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into all the
yeah. So I've been riding horses since I was a kid. I used to even have this pony, like when I was in like elementary school. I think my riding experience in total is like, it is over 10 years of riding experience. If I think of my favorite horse breed as in like, what horse breed do I like to ride the most? I would just say like warm bloods, and yeah, just I like slimmer, energetic warm bloods. But then in terms of looks, I recently have been really liking PRE horses.
It's the sport horses. It kind of, I think, reflects in your game really, because you did say that you're going to be keeping with the warm bloods and those type of things. So you're probably having a blast making horses that you really do like.
And it's like, these are warm bloods and the similar breeds. I mean, warm bloods technically have like all kinds of breeds, like sub-breeds of warm bloods, basically.
Yeah.
The Swedish warm blood and blah, blah, all these different like German warm blood and blah, blah. But like, if you think about the kinds of horses that you mostly see in high-level sports riding competitions, like show jumping, dressage, cross country, it is almost 100% warm bloods. Dressage has maybe a bit more variation, but the other two, it is mostly just warm bloods or different like sub-breeds of warm bloods.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does. I think you can say that my preference also exists in the game in some way.
How long have you been developing games?
I haven't been developing games for very long, because when I first started making the Tales of Rein Ravine, or what it was originally called horsegame.exe, this was in the beginning of 2020, when like around the time when COVID started. Yeah, that's I would say that I was almost a beginner at that time in game development. So I guess it would make it about 2.5 years, or maybe max 3 years.
And you had no like training or stuff before that? You just decided, hey, I'm gonna make a horse game one day?
No, like not specifically, not in the video game industry, no. I had some background, because at the time in 2020, I was studying in this like upper secondary school type of school. I was studying like media and stuff like that, just general media, photography, video editing, stuff like that. And so I have some background in that kind of stuff, but not specifically in game development. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the meat of it. I think we all just want to hear about your game. Everyone's probably like very impatient. Okay, so just tell us a little bit about the game, like what it's about or what's the goal of it. You know, just give us a little bit of an outline of what the game is about.
Overall, well, Tales of Rein Ravine it's a single-player offline game. You can't play it online with your friends, and it's a horse game, obviously. And I would say that its primary focus is, I guess, two sides of the primary focus. Like, one side is the realistic and more challenging, and I guess you could say maybe more satisfying riding mechanics that I've been trying to implement for this game. And then there's also like the storyline. But like at this point in time, most of the development has been done on the first part, on the riding mechanics and riding gameplay and stuff like that. I guess you can say that it's also aimed at like a slightly older audience of equestrians, and equestrians that are interested in video games as well.
One thing that you actually said here is the fact that it's aimed at an older audience. And something that I have noticed as I'm playing the game, and a lot of people I think have commented on it, is the fact that you can, like the characters are swearing. This isn't something we've seen in most games. Like, what made you decide to kind of make that type of game?
I like whenever games or books or anything like that has, if it has young people in it, I like that the people kind of talk in a somewhat realistic way. And yeah, because from the very beginning that I decided that this game was going to have a storyline, I knew that the storyline was going to be likely a bit more geared towards teenage or young adult audience anyway, so having swearing in it, I don't know, I guess it was just natural.
I think it's ballsy, personally.
I suppose, like, it's kind of unexpected from a horse game, I would say.
I think it's definitely going to be a draw. I mean, like, you know, as you said, you know, a lot of these horse games they're very focused on a younger audience. That instantly puts a lot of people, you know, kind of like older gamers like myself, puts it off because I don't want to play a kid's game. I want to play a horse game or something that's a little bit more mature. Yeah, that's actually probably going to, you know, draw, I think, a lot of more people in.
Yeah, most of the feedback that I've gotten about it has been like, I would say 99% positive, and then there's like one Karen somewhere that complains about it.
We always have to have a Karen somewhere in our lives.
It isn't even many. Like, I've gotten maybe 7 emails saying that, like, hey, I bought this game for my 6-year-old kid, and now I'm disappointed that this game has swearing in it and stuff like that. But yeah, it hasn't been very many people at all.
That's good. It's good. It means like we have a lot more older players than we thought we did.
I think the bigger gaming companies that make horse games don't necessarily think that there's an audience for something like this. Like, I think horses are usually seen as this like kind of like a childish thing that like only children are interested in, and once you turn like 15, you get over it. Yeah, it's nice that this now an older audience also wanting to play horse games.
Something that I've noticed with Tales of Rein Ravine is that the horse riding is super amazing. Like, it's so realistic. The horse tilts its head up. There's the striding effect that you have to get right, and that makes it feel very authentic and makes it a bit of a challenge. So
I'm happy that you feel that way.
Oh no, it's amazing. I love it. It's very addicting as well.
Do you ride horses in real life?
I used to ride. I had I used to do endurance riding. I did do a little bit of jumping.
Okay, that's cool. So yeah, I'm just asking because I'm wondering, like, from what perspective are you saying this? But yeah, if you ride horses in real life, then yeah, it's very nice that you feel that way.
No, it's really good. Like, the one thing that I love about the game is it's skill based. Like I said earlier, and skill based games is something that kind of becomes addicting because you always want to see, can I push the skill? Can I do it a little better? Can I do it like this? And that's an addiction that I really like to have in a game. But like, what made you? Like, inspired you to kind of make that kind of game? You know, what made you one day sit down and decide I was going to make a game that kind of captures that realistic writing? Because it's really cool.
I guess I don't think I ever really particularly decided that I'm going to make a game like this because, like I said, I kind of started making this game very randomly. At the beginning, it was honestly mostly just supposed to be some like meme game that you can just ride a couple of jumping courses and you can make the rider fall in a really silly looking way, and that's gonna be the whole game. But the riding mechanics, I think they just naturally became that way because I just asked myself, like, as an equestrian, what are the kinds of like controls that would make me want to play? Like, what would make me the most satisfied with the gameplay? And that's just it just naturally became that way.
Let's talk about the assets. I noticed on your Patreon page that you're going to be changing the assets a little bit. The original, I actually also watched that entire video of yours where you kind of show, you know, how the game evolved. It looks like you've been switching out assets and you're moving now towards something that I think that it sounds like you're going to be a little bit more happier with. That's going to be a bit more realistic, but still captures that style that you're going for.
At the very beginning, I would say that most of the assets were just from some like free, you know, packs and stuff like that. And then at some point I started switching them to something that I had bought for a couple of dollars and stuff like that. But now, and so what actually happened with the demo, by the way, so I have the Patreon page, but I had some like taxation issues and stuff like that. And because of that, I wasn't actually able to like withdraw any money from the Patreon account in the entire like making of the demo.
Wow.
I know it sounds kind of insane, but that is what happened because of these. My country just doesn't know what kind of taxes I'm supposed to pay out of this kind of income. So I feel like the look of the game at the moment, considering that it was made with like next to no budget, just doesn't represent the budget that it actually is going to have in the future. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Like I don't want to use free assets if I'm actually financially able to get something a bit more professionally done.
But that's actually quite amazing. The fact that you were working without a budget. That makes it even more amazing.
Yeah,
to be
well,
honest.
I wouldn't say like actual zero budget, but like I think the total amount of game that I've spent, the total amount of money that I spent on the game so far has been like maybe $500.
And you made, according to your, sorry, I just want to make sure here, according to your Patreon page, you made about $100,000 in Patreon money at this point in time.
At this point in time, that would, and after taxes, that would be approximately the amount of the budget at the moment.
Okay, so let's move on to the caring system.
Okay.
This is something that makes me happy. You don't have a caring system. But
at least so far, there's no like, you don't need to go to the stable to brush the horse. And because it's not an online game, it's an offline game. So, I mean, I suppose there could be quests in it that maybe at some point you have to like take care of the horse or something. But it's not like a frequent thing that you have to do in the game, you know?
Yeah, I'm actually very glad about that because a lot of games fall into that trap and it's such an easy thing to become boring. But was that like a deliberate choice on your end or was it more a limitation of what you were doing?
I would say that it's a little bit of both. Like obviously there's things, because I've been just one person making this game. So there's obviously some things that I need to like prioritize on and some things that I have to just like forget about. And I guess it was a very easy one that like to just decide that, well, I don't find this interesting myself to play. I'm not gonna make it in this game.
Let's move on to horse breeds. So you mentioned that you kind of want to you're going to be sticking to warm bloods, thoroughbreds, Hanoverians.
Yeah.
So those are actually kind of like show jumping horses. Are you going to be adding other breeds, or is there a favorite breed that you're kind of going to be adding at some point?
Yeah. So I guess with this question, it's kind of the same as with the previous one. So because I do have to prioritize on some things, and it would be nice to have like 25 different horse breeds in the game. I'm not saying that. But I also think of it like, well, it doesn't really add anything to the game other than visuals. Or I guess you could have the breeds have like different personalities or something like that. But you can have that even if they are kind of similar looking. So yeah, I guess it is partially like a limitation thing. It would take so much time to create so many different models and stuff like that. But yeah, at the moment, the plan is to have mostly warm blood looking horses. There might be some other like kind of similar looking horses, like sports horses, like PRE could be possible. Something that wouldn't necessarily require for you to make a completely new model from scratch, but you could kind of modify the same model to look a little bit different, But like one thing that I can say with 100% certainty, that there won't be any draft breeds, Shetland ponies, Icelandics, or anything like that. Like no breeds that you wouldn't actually see competing in high-level dressage and show jumping competitions are sadly not going to be a part of this game.
Well, that's actually perfectly fine because it always kind of brings it down to a lot of horse games that kind of has that weird balance between, they just keep adding horse breeds. The thing with that is it kind of places quantity over quality. And that's something I think I also kind of appreciate with your game, is the fact that each horse has this personality. I love Rose, by the way. She's my favorite.
I think I like Rose the most as well.
Yeah.
Like on Damon, I don't know, Damon is so big and so like kind of hard to turn.
Yeah, Rose is this little zippy. She just gives you,
Yeah.
she just does not slow down.
I
I just
know.
love Rose.
I like Rose too.
But that's kind of the thing, I can actually say that in your game. I can say I like this horse or I don't like this horse. Whereas with a lot of horse games, all the horses kind of feel exactly the same. So it's kind of strange that by the limitation, I think that you kind of created something very unique within horses, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I kind of decided that my focus, instead of having the game have several different looking horses, was to have like several different, like the playability would be different for each horse.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like I chose that over the looks.
Oh yeah, no, that's like amazing. Sorry. Very happy about that. So kind of dressage was something that early on in your Patreon you kind of said to players, they were whether they want show jumping or dressage. Show jumping kind of won out. Dressage is like, as we can all kind of agree, is a much more difficult mechanic to implement. But it looks like you did kind of implement it into the newer version of the game, the demo. So are you going to be pushing more for dressage, or what's going on there?
Yeah, so the finished version of the demo has one dressage lesson. It's the last lesson. And, but yeah, I guess you can still say that the dressage in the demo is still very like simplistic. And it was basically just created using the same checkpoint mechanic that I already had for the lessons, but instead of the figures being written in random places in the arena, they were written inside the dressage arena, and they were like kind of, correct. How would I say it? Like the figures were the actual like official from the dressage like rules.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. And so, but for the main game, I would still like to make the dressage at least somewhat more complex. For example, have some dressage moves like maybe leg yield or pirouettes or collected trot, collected canter, stuff like that. But it is still kind of in the works, I would say. How exactly I'm going to implement that and stuff like that. But yes, there will be some kind of dressage in the finished game, but the complexity of it, I don't yet know.
I'm guessing
Did that answer your question?
Yes. But I'm guessing that with the newer models that you're going to be adding into the game, that's probably going to make the dressage a little easier for you.
Currently, I'm working on kind of remaking the horse model, and especially the horse's skeleton. So the skeleton is the thing that you use to animate the horse, and the previous, like I said, the demo was made with next to zero budget. So the original skeleton was made in a very unprofessional way, so animating with it is slow and difficult and just not convenient. And partially for that reason I didn't want to even try to like add any extra animations to the demo, because I knew that they were gonna have to be remade anyways with the more professional skeleton and professionally made model and stuff like that. I mean, the model is also gonna be remade, not just the skeleton. So yeah, but with once the newer horse model and the skeleton is finished, it should be at least somewhat easier to make those more complex movements. I guess you can say that.
Well, that is something I'm absolutely looking forward to, because good dressage is difficult to find in horse games.
Yeah, it's I can understand that, because if you think about dressage, it's kind of like I guess ballet or something, or dancing.
Yeah.
It's not, dressage is judged by the opinion of other humans. Even in real life, it's kind of hard to like it sometimes dressage can be controversial because it's based on, the score is based on opinion. But show jumping from a programming perspective is very easy. You just have like a certain number of checkpoints, and you just have to cross the checkpoints in the fastest time possible, and that's it. It's very easy to program. And in general, I think even equestrians themselves do find the show jumping gameplay to be more interesting.
Yes, I definitely think that, because show jumping is more exciting. That's unfortunately how the brain works. As lovely as dressage is, more people go watch a show jumping competition than they do a dressage competition.
Exactly. Dressage can be even especially if, I mean, I guess you can say that Tales of Rein Ravine is more geared towards people who actually know something about horse riding, even in real life. But especially if you think of an audience, I mean, I would say that most horse games do try to reach at least some other audience as well, and not just like equestrians. So that audience especially does not find dressage interesting. They might even find it like impossible to even understand. Like, how do you understand the different dressage moves if you can't even really like see the difference between the different moves in real life?
Yeah, and I'm actually thinking that then you have a further split within dressage communities, where you have people who say a proper extended trot is done like this, and other people say a proper extended trot is done like that, and it's a very subjective thing.
It is exactly, yeah.
But it is still a lovely discipline that really needs to be explored more.
Yeah, I think so too. I've always wished that, because I honestly, I think that I don't think I've ever really played a horse game with in any way satisfying dressage mechanics. It's always like super simplistic. I've even seen games like that have the dressage part is literally like press like square at this like pace and something like, and then some like music plays and the horse just like does something on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's always very dumbed down. But like you said, it's such a difficult thing to implement. But I think that Rein Ravine does have, at least from what I've seen, has a decent base to kind of build on that. But, that depends, as you said, by the limitations and stuff that's going to go forward. But I'm very excited about dressage, just to kind of make that clear. So at this point in time, we have show jumping, we have dressage, which I'm very happy about. But are there going to be any other disciplines that you're going to be adding to the game?
Yeah, there's gonna be cross country, and you might have seen some cross country already in the YouTube videos. But yeah, there wasn't any cross country in the demo, partially because it's also sort of still like in the works. It's not ready to be released yet. But yeah, so there's gonna be the 3 disciplines: cross country, show jumping, and dressage.
Awesome.
No Western disciplines. I know some people are disappointed about that, but the truth is I've never even seen a Western saddle in my life, so I don't think I'm the right person to make that game.
So we just chatted about cross country, and by extension, I did watch your videos and I saw that the characters have some lovely folding and ragdoll animations. So I'm gonna guess our characters are gonna be able to fall off, possibly get injured.
This is one of those things that I don't really have a definite answer to yet, but I would say that most likely, if I can make the mechanic work in a way that isn't like completely like a meme, then yes, the rider is going to be able to fall off, at least in some situations in the game.
Awesome. That would actually be kind of fun, especially when I watched your video and I saw drunk riding, and that was hilarious, and I really want to see that in a horse game.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think this one in one of the YouTube compilation video that I made, there is this clip of like a drunk riding. Well, it's actually just a joke. It's not actually coming to the game, but it was this because I just turned on the physics simulation of the rider's like back and head muscles and whatever, or not muscles, the bones. Like the skeleton has the bones, so I just turned the physics simulation on. It's like super drunk, and I filmed a video about it, and for fun, it's in the compilation. But sadly, it's not gonna be a part of the game.
That is the greatest tragedy I've heard this entire year.
Oh no! Oh no! This is I'm getting cancelled.
You're getting cancelled like tomorrow. I'm cancelling you until you bring in my drunk rider.
Yeah, I promised this drunk riding, and now it's not coming. Now Tales of Rein Ravine cancelled.
Lying. But it is really cool that you're actually aiming for the idea that people can fall off. I mean, like you said, it depends on how it goes. But falling off is part of riding. So I think that's kind of something that people kind of want to see. But I do kind of get why it's sometimes difficult, especially in. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna mention this, but in earlier games in particular, Equestrian the game kind of did this as well. When you fell off, the the entire thing just faded to black and you were back at the stables. The reason for that was because you couldn't climb off the horse in the world. That was a limitation of the old engines. So when you fell off, they just kind of reset you back to the stable.
Yeah, at this the way that this falling off thing in Tales of Rein Ravine as of now has been made would be the same way. So the horse character and the rider character, the girl, they are technically like the same character. So you can't just like climb up to the horse and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah, currently that is a thing. I don't know if that's gonna change, because it is kind of harder to make them be like different characters, if that makes sense.
I can believe that. I mean, like I said, in the earlier games, that was absolutely a limitation. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you need to kind of make the game that it's going to work with the idea that you have in your head. And I think that sometimes what happens with a lot of game developers is, clearly not with you, because you're really keeping like a straight line with this game so far, but with some game developers, they want to add more and more and more and more, and then it eventually just becomes a mess. So I don't think it's a good thing, that if the rider falls off, you're just going to get transported back. That's actually, I think, perfectly fine.
Yeah, most likely. I would say at this point, I would say why am I repeating what I just said?
I have no idea.
At this point. Okay, I'm gonna shut the fuck up now for a while.
Okay, so let's move on to the world, because I'm very excited about the world. I saw your little clip that you kind of showed about a new map. So the world has this kind of a watercolor tone, which I absolutely love. It feels like brushstrokes. And as a result, it kind of has a cartoony feel, but a more mature cartoony feel. Where did you kind of get inspiration for that? Or was it like assets that you got, or because I just love it. It has such a beautiful atmosphere.
Well, it's so the cartoony, or it's not like an entirely cartoonish game, but it's partially cartoonish and partially realistic looking. One issue with developing a horse game is that unfortunately most of the people in the audience aren't exactly gamer type of people. And you can probably guess what that means. It means that most of them have really potato computers.
Oh.
So, yeah, like a graphics card, not a good graphics card, not like gaming computers, I would say that most of the horse gaming audience does not have those. Especially any of the younger ones. So, there is somewhat of a performance issue. Or if you were to make a super realistic game, you would run into the issue of nobody being able to play it, or 90% of the audience maybe not being able to play it. So one of the reasons for the more cartoonish look is simply just the fact that it's easier to make a game that looks pretty, that is a bit more cartoonish, and is also going to be like not too performance heavy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes absolutely sense. The resulting style is really gorgeous.
But yeah, so on top of the performance thing, it is also true that I just like this style of game. Like a bit more cartoonish games. Do you know the game Firewatch?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. That would be a very good example of the kind of graphic style that I really like. Sort of, I suppose you can say that game is a little bit more cartoonish than Rein Ravine. But yeah, that was, I would say that the Firewatch game, it's not a horse game. It's like a story game, basically. But that game was one of the reasons for why I even, got interested in, even just gaming and especially, game development.
Oh, that's a really good game.
The graphic style has been, at least somewhat influenced by that game.
Well, that's like I said, that's a great game to get inspired by, because it's a really fun game.
Yeah, it's like I recommend playing it. It's like a story-based game. You just play as this guy who goes into the forest, and then some mysterious things start happening there, and he starts investigating them and stuff like that.
It's actually I think a lot better for game developers, and I wish that more of them would kind of push for this, to make stylized type of graphics, to make stylized types of looks, because the realistic aspect of horses, if you're gonna make all the games look realistic, they're all gonna look exactly the same. You can kind of take the example.
That is true.
You can kind of take the example of Equestrian the game, and versus Wild Shade. Now I'm just gonna like give an example on right now on screen. But Wild Shade has that kind of style I think that you would kind of like. You know, it has that cartoonish type of, you know, stylistic style, very colorful. And then if you kind of move over to Equestrian the game, it's very realistic. But I remember Wild Shade because it's something unique that kind of pops out against all the other games.
I just had to Google this. I've never heard of Wild Shade. I don't know why, but I just Googled it. Yeah, I'd like that very much. But I don't know. I've also tried the Equestrian game. I also like how it looks. I don't have any problem with either of them.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not saying either is bad. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah. I know. You weren't saying that. I know. No. Yeah, I can't. You know how many questions I get from people of like, is Tales of Rein Ravine coming from mobile? This is the most asked question that I get. And I can't believe it, because, I mean, okay, I suppose it is mostly like young kids asking this, and that's fine. I understand that they don't really understand that this kind of game is not compatible with mobile. But it's like, it's just crazy for me to think about, like, how would this kind of game be switched to a mobile version? It's not, it would be an entirely different game.
Yeah, exactly. It's mobile games are getting better and better, but you can't expect big PC games to be transferred to a mobile game. It's just not gonna fly, because, like you said, you know, it's the limitations of the platform is already gonna be a huge stumbling block to try and get that game over into mobile. The type of games that kids can kind of, or like anyone really who kind of, and anyone out there who sees a game they like and they want to get it to mobile, just remember it's probably not gonna happen. These games are too...
Yeah, this is true. There isn't in at least not until 2030. There isn't gonna be a Red Dead Redemption for mobile.
Wow, that would actually be kind of cool though.
I think one thing about the I'm just going back to the graphic style thing, is that like a cartoonish games don't necessarily, they age a little bit better than realistic games.
Yes.
Like the cartoonish, like I mean the Firewatch game that I talked about, I think it was made in like 2015 or something. It's an old game by now, but it still looks good by today's standards, I would say.
But okay, let's move on to the world again, because I have a different question for you about the world. So, like I said, the world looks gorgeous, but how big will the world be? And like, are you going to be able to find quests, collectibles? What can we kind of expect to find in the world as we're exploring around it? Or is it just going to be training? What's the idea with the big open world?
Okay, so first of all, the game isn't gonna have an open world. Mm-hmm. That's so one of the questions that I also get asked a lot is like, is this gonna be an open world game? No, the game is gonna consist of like, well, the map that you've seen in the demo is a good example of the size of one map that's probably gonna be in the game. Mm-hmm. The world is gonna consist of several smaller maps. You can, like, you know, walk around the map freely, at least most of them, kind of like you were able to do in the later versions of the demo. But yeah, so it isn't gonna be like fully open world or anything. And yeah, some of the questions, some of this other stuff that you asked, at least at the moment there isn't any collectibles like planned for it. No. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, because I don't have definite answers for all of these things yet. But yeah, the one thing that I can definitely say that it isn't going to be fully open world. I guess you could say that it's still like semi-open world if you can freely move in the stable and riding areas and stuff like that. but it isn't like a open world game.
From kind of what you've been telling me, it sounds like this is actually a situation that kind of popped up with some other, current in development games. Is the expectations from players, I think, tend to, skyrocket. They kind of put up their own ideas of what they want with the game. Does that kind of put a lot of pressure on you? Is it something that kind of pushes you to make more, or is it just something that kind of rolls off the back and you just do your thing?
I feel like I'm just a very chill person, and I don't really stress about things very often.
Do people actually put like do people like expect a lot more from the game than
But yeah, I am sometimes afraid that like are people expecting this game to be like the new Red Dead Redemption or something insane that like it isn't obviously gonna be. And one thing that I've actually tried to do is that basically all of the content of the game that I've showed on social media has been like stuff directly filmed in the game, if that makes sense. Like I've barely ever released any like super like highly rendered images of the horse models, anything like that. So because sometimes I've seen that happen, that like some game developers will just like release some like really high end render of a character and it looks like very awesome in the render, but then in the game it kind of looks mid. I don't know, I guess that's one way that I've been trying to like cope with people not having too high expectations. Yeah, and like Red Dead Redemption, I mean the reason why it is so good in terms of the horse mechanics is because the budget was like 1 million or billion or something like that.
Yeah.
And it isn't even like, it's not a game made for a horse audience. It's game made for like a very big audience. I don't know if we're ever gonna have a horse game that would have that level of detail. One day, I mean, of course, like game development gets easier all the time. Like more and more stuff can be automated. So maybe in the future there will be some like you can maybe even automatically just like buy a horse and it does all these things, and or buy a horse model. I mean, and it, yeah, or maybe it's some like really sophisticated AI is gonna just program the whole game. You're just gonna send like videos of horses doing something, and then the AI is gonna just automatically create a game like that.
Ish, that would be kind of sad.
In like 200 years from now.
Yeah, let's hope it's 200 years. I don't want to live in that time, thank you. sounds too, like if everything's done for you. No, thank you. In the future, that can happen in the future.
I would love that.
Really?
I would love that. My job, I would lose my job, obviously. If an AI can fully make a game that's playable, I don't have a job anymore, so that's the only downside.
You see, you need it to happen 200 years from now. We'll hope for 200 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so where was I? Okay, so let's talk about characters. Will there be characters that we can talk to and meet? I know you said that this is not going to be an RPG, but what level of exploration or interaction kind of can we expect in the world?
I guess you can say that Tales of Rein Ravine does have some like RPG style stuff in it. For now, at least, there won't gonna be any stats. There might be like a riding experience meter or something like that. So there'll be one stat, technically. Characters, well, the game is planned to have a storyline, so obviously there are gonna be characters that you can interact with in some way, talk to. That's gonna, but it's gonna be a part of the story. Other than there might be like a riding experience meter or something like that. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. It's just a normal single player game.
Well, that's actually fine. Then it's an adventure game. It's an adventure game.
Adventure game. I guess that would be a better like term for it. Okay. If you want to find some like official genre, then I suppose an adventure game would be slightly better name than an RPG. Well, I guess I also kind of associate the word RPG with an online game.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or no. Or yeah. I don't know.
It's, like a lot of MMOs do have RPG elements. Yeah. I think like most of them do. So yeah, no, that's actually not a bad thing to do. I think that, yeah, that's weird. I've never thought of that, actually. It's really weird. I've played so many MMOs that I've never actually made the connection. I feel so stupid right now.
I suppose a part of it is also that you can like make your own character. You can like modify
Yes.
your own character.
That's actually
Right.
something.
So this is also not something. No. So in Tales of Rein Ravine, the character that you play as is gonna be set as it is, as she, they, he, whatever is, and yeah, that's it. You can't like modify the character. You can't change their name or anything like that.
So you say that this game will be story-driven game. This makes me very happy, as I love stories in games. But what can you tell us about the story? What is it about? Is it a style of story we may have heard before?
No, I can't give you any spoilers about this story. Don't try.
Damn! I so hoped I could wrangle something out of it.
At this point, most of the development has been made in the writing mechanics and writing controls, and that part of the game, the story part of the game, is still like much more of a work in progress kind of thing. Whereas the writing mechanics, I would say, are, well, I can't say that they're done, but they're much more finished than the other part of the game. So that's why I can't give you any spoilers yet.
One
I'm
day.
sorry.
That's fine, but one day.
It is what it is. I'm sorry.
It's perfectly fine. So tell us a little about the character that we're going to be playing, Van der Waal. Do you, seeing as you don't have anything for the story at this point, is there anything that you can tell us about her, maybe?
Oh, but there might actually be a chance that we might not even be playing as her in the main game.
Okay.
So I can't really tell you too much yet, but I can't mean you can probably guess if you played the demo and read the dialogue that the Van der Waal girl is from like this well-known family that rides horses. So that much I can tell you.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so you've also said that we're going to be having quests in the game. So I'm quite curious. Do you seeing, like, I don't know if I'm just kind of pushing more into an area that you really haven't worked on yet. But do you have any types of ideas of this type of quests maybe that you're so far kind of tentatively planning?
Well, the stuff that I've planned so far is that the quests will be mainly like related to the story. They are the way that the story moves forwards. There's currently no plans of having any kind of a currency or any like you don't really get any reward for completing the quest other than that the storyline progresses and you unlock new horses, new areas, new riding lessons, competitions, and stuff like that.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the fact that you are essentially making an entire game on your own. I'm guessing that must be a big challenge in a lot of ways. But if you can give advice to anyone who would want to make a horse game, what would it be?
Well, how would I say it? I can't say that it would be exactly easy to just randomly start creating a game, especially if you have like no experience, like I kinda had. But the thing also about my journey has been that my journey has been greatly helped by the fact that I have this other background in all these other like media related stuff. Like, I mean, for example, like I know how to make visual effects with After Effects. So that's basically kind of like animating. So I know how to animate that. It's not that far away from animating a 3D character. Does that make sense? So even if I didn't exactly have experience specifically in game development, I had experience in some similar things. And even like the programming stuff. So sounds weird, but like I had in elementary and middle school I had a hobby of like coding websites. So yeah. So like I guess that has also helped with the learning the programming and stuff like that. But so yeah. But if someone wanted to learn to make games from scratch, make a horse game from scratch, I wouldn't say that it's impossible. If you're like really interested in it, you can go and download all the needed software, Blender, Unity, or Unreal Engine if you want to use that, for free. They're completely free to use and try out. All the tutorials are out there for you to learn the basics. like it's 2022. There's a lot of tutorials. Just I would say that just watch a bunch of tutorials, and that's how you can start. Or you can also go to school, university, to study game development. That's the other way, which I didn't do.
No, no, you went the other way, and it's clearly paying off. So just one more question. Well, two more. Do we have any sort of date for like when the game will be completed, or are you just still kind of just working up to a point at this point in time?
So next year, 2023, I'm aiming at being able to release at least some beta version of the game during the next year, likely later in the year. That's the current plan. But like as for the finished game, it's to be announced.
I kind of read that Patreon post you had about your taxes thing. It's just, I can't believe you have like that many problems with just, I'm sorry, but making money.
It's a problem of like being from a very small country. So basically, like, I'm guessing that there's probably just never been a Patreon creator from my country. So the tax administration doesn't know what to do about it. They've never heard about this kind of thing. Yeah, it's a downside of not being from a big country like the USA or something. But it is now like it is now, what is it, the word for that? It has been
resolved.
Yes, exactly. The tax issues have been at least mostly resolved.
Give us your best and worst parts about game development.
So far, I would say that the worst has been maybe drawing, just drawing the characters and stuff like that. It's just I find drawing to be slow and just like, I don't know. I don't like it that much. But I like the best part about game development: programming, playtesting. I like playing it.
Maia, thank you so very much for joining me here today. It was absolutely a treat to have you. I'm very excited about the game, and I think all my viewers are as well.
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much. And please, to everybody watching, go download the free demo. It is 100% free.
The links are in the description below. It's a really cool game for those of you who haven't tried it, and please pick it up because it's I'm looking very much forward to seeing the rest of your updates. Bye guys.